To the regularly scheduled public meeting of August 6, 2018 of the Township of Washington Council. Adequate notice of the meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by the Township Clerk to at least 2 newspapers in January, and this notice has been posted on the Township Bulletin Board and on the Township website. Please notify the Township Clerk for any disability requirements necessary for attendance at Mayor and Council meetings. The fire exits are located through the double doors to your right and through the door on your left. Please silence all your cell phones. Please stand for a salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Councilman Bruno. Councilman Casio.
Here.
Councilman Cumming.
Here.
Councilman Ullman.
Here.
Council President DeSena.
Here. Reading a total list of bills.
The following is a list of bills paid since the last bill list was submitted, representing July 1, 2018 through July 31st, 2018. Total 2017 reserve, $3,092 even. Total 2018 current, $1,588,091.44. Total capital fund, $7,649.39. Total animal control, 0. Total grant fund, $16,171.23. Total trust fund, $40,595.80.
May I ask if we have questions on this, should they be directed to Matt, Peter?
Yes, I mean, I can certainly take notes and ask him if you'd like.
No, I mean, I have quite a few. I didn't have a chance to compile them, but just one, the capital fund on page 18. It seems we're charging the capital accounts for light bulbs and fuses, and you know, I don't know if that's the best use of money that's been bonded. I'm assuming these are items that have open balances, either excess cash, or hopefully we're not adding to our bands by doing that, but I don't see why we're charging $17 to the capital fund.
In looking at these quickly, I think they were items that they needed to put on a brand new vehicle, one of the new DMF vehicles, and so it could be, since maybe it should have been purchased as part of the vehicle, that's why it went toward capital. Only an educated guess.
That is correct, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
It's for the new truck, Mr. Ullman.
Okay.
So the total of $839.75 is for the new vehicle to be outfitted for the.
So we're charging a bond ordinance from 2015. We're just purchasing the vehicles.
I'm not sure where you're seeing 2015, but I would say no matter what year it's against.
Well, there's a bond ordinance number 1509. So I'm assuming it's from a ordinance from 2015.
Okay.
And again, the question stands.
Okay, it could be that there was money left in that ordinance, and so they chose to take it from there. But I'll clarify it with Matt and get him to answer you back.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else, Mr. Ullman?
I'll put them in writing to the administrator.
Thank you. Approval of minutes, July 9th, 2018, special meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Cumming.
Yes.
Councilman Ullman.
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. At this time, the report of the mayor, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming tonight. Hope you're enjoying the summer. Administrator, we have a new administrator, Matt Cavallo. Some of you may remember him as he was formerly the town administrator. He apologizes for not being here this evening, but he had to attend a funeral that was out of state. Intersection. Because of his engineering background, I've asked Council President DeSena to be an additional liaison with the county on the engineering part of the project, which is where the county is currently working on. Therefore, I've asked him to give this month's report on the topic. Thank you. Summer concert series. Mother Nature certainly shined upon us for the first two concerts, Bon Journey and the B Street Band. However, she had a change of heart for the second two. We are working with both bands to come up with a mutual date to reschedule them. On behalf of the whole town, I'd like to thank our monetary sponsors who stepped up so we can enjoy these concerts at little to no expense to the town. They are John at Bakari Grill and Jimmy at Seasons Catering. Additionally, a special thanks to Kevin Lynch of Oritani Bank, who graciously donated $10,000 and is always more than willing to help the town and our local organizations however he can. Movie night. We're having a movie night at Memorial Field on Friday, August 17th at 8 p.m. with a rain date of Saturday, August 18th. The featured movie is Journey 2, The Mysterious Island. It's rated PG. Your mayor and council are sponsoring the popcorn at the event. Wi-Fi. We are making Wi-Fi available throughout Town Hall, and we are also looking into making Wi-Fi available in our parks. Signs. I met with representatives from the police, DMF, and Green Team last week regarding signs. We will be replacing missing street signs, adding signage to our parks, and getting 2 remotely controlled flashing stop signs for both directions on Washington Ave for when the fire trucks are pulling into or out of the building. We have approximately 187 stop signs in town. We're working on getting prices on them to see if we want to replace them all to the current reflective standards over the next 2 years. In honor of our friend Ray Bernroth, we will also be getting a couple of the breakaway street pedestrian signs. Last but not least, we will be getting flashing LED pedestrian cross warning signs to post at the appropriate streets near our schools. Senior van. We are reviewing quotes on the van and will have a resolution before the council at the first meeting in September for them to authorize a purchase. Fire Department Records Management System. The system has been purchased through a state contract. This will enable the department to apply for grants that were previously unavailable to them. Police Department Scheduling System. The Police Department has placed an order for the installation of Police Officer Scheduling System, which is a leader in the industry of police scheduling. We expect installation and training to commence immediately. That will enable cost cutting by scheduling the staff more efficiently. Town Hall, the painting is almost complete. We ran into an issue with humidity on the basement flooring project. We're evaluating the options to move forward. We've replaced 2 air conditioning units that service the 3rd floor that are much more energy efficient than what they replaced. Last but not least, congratulations to our employee Joy Apar on successfully passing the Certified Tax Collector's exam. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Report of the council. Mr. Ullman, do you have anything?
Yeah, I'll be brief. Just to second Mayor Calamari's comments. Can't thank the volunteers enough for the concert series. I know there are many people involved, and I'd like to recognize Director Bilius from the Fire Department as well as Firefighter Neary. I know they've been spearheading quite a bit of that effort. Also like to recognize the corporate donors, Oritani, Seasons, and Bakari, for their assistance with those efforts. Additionally, Peter mentioned Joy. It is great. You know, she's currently the Deputy Treasurer. She's the Certified Tax Collector, or she's passed that certificate. You know, that type of effort shows a commitment to not only her personal enrichment, but the people that she serves here in the town, and it provides the administration with some flexibility in having that person have that certificate. Additionally, I would want to recognize Cornelia Lisa. She's currently an assistant in the clerk's office as well as the Board of Health secretary. She is starting the path to securing her clerk certification. She's taking an intro course, and she received a scholarship from the Bergen Municipal Clerks Group, covering 70% of her registration fees. So I look forward to progress reports on that effort, and that would be my update.
Thank you, Mr. Ullman. Mr. Cumming?
Sir, I'll try to keep this brief because I know we have an exciting presentation tonight. I've received a certificate from the state of New Jersey that I have gotten along with Director Dan Scuderi and Green Team Coordinator Tom Sears. We have completed core training for the New Jersey Forest Service. We can continue to make great strides in the conservation and the stewardship of our township woodlands under the able and devoted leadership of Mr. Sears and Mr. Scuderi. Mr. Sears and I also attended a conference in Wayne, New Jersey on July 19th titled "The Right Tree Planted in the Right Place and the Right Way" by the New Jersey Tree People. And it was also hosted by our utility, Public Service Electric and Gas. Their topics were the importance of calling 811 before you dig on private or public property with any machinery at all. Any excavation needs to have markout, and markout is accomplished by calling 811, which all of the landscapers should know, and anything that is done has to be marked out now. Most important takeaway from this meeting was regarding downed wires after a storm. The most important thing that was stressed by George McLaren and Jay Kaplan, both of PSE&G, was to stay at least 100 feet away from any downed electric wires. Stay at least 100 feet away from any downed electric wires because they're very hazardous. And this conference was sponsored by Public Service, and it was held in Wayne, New Jersey at the Police and Fire Academy up there. We had a good day and learned quite a lot from them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clement. Dr. Cascio?
Thank you, Mr. President. Really no report tonight. Just everyone, please continue to have a very happy and safe summer season. The summer's hot. Keep your air conditioner set low, and hopefully the fall come and bring us some nice cool weather. No snow, though. We don't need snow. Just cool weather. That's all.
Thank you, Dr. Cascio. A few brief things. The summer concert series, the two we've had so far, have been incredible. Thank you to everybody. It's been wonderful to see the town gather together. Thank you to all the volunteers, fire department, police that have been there. Everybody, thank you so much. It's been an incredible affair. Congratulations to Joy and to Cornelia also. Very happy to hear Mayor Calamari's report. A lot of initiatives that we put through that this council spent a lot of time in the budget for the dispatch system, scheduling softwares for both the fire department, the police department, and the senior bus. I'm glad to see that we finally got it off the ground, and it's going to be here soon. Also, another thing, the Township of Washington, I'm doing a little PSA right now. We do not have a shade tree commission. If you have dangerous trees in rear yards for your neighbors and so forth, the township is not responsible for those trees. The trees are the problem of the person where the tree is located, and it falls on your property, unfortunately. Mr. Pollard will agree with me. It becomes your problem. It is the residents' duty to inform their neighbor there's a hazard there and put them on notice. The township cannot do that for you. The property maintenance officer can help, but he is not the arbiter of trees for the Township of Washington. So if there are dangerous trees in your neighbor's yard that are leaning toward your house, I would seek legal counsel and get advice from them to see how to handle it. But we cannot. It's a dispute between neighbors, not a township problem, unfortunately. That's my little PSA for my first one. The second one is the Bergen County Clerk, John Hogan, is presenting around the county. There's going to be a satellite office for passport outreach services on October 23rd, 24th, 25th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. in Town Hall here. For passports, you need to bring 2 checks payable to the Bergen County Clerk's office, and they will assist with getting passports, senior and veteran photo cards, notarizing that day, and business trade name registration. Those are the services that the county will be here on site providing on October 23rd, 24th, and 25th. For more information, please reach out to the Township Clerk, and she'll be more than willing to help you. That's all I have tonight, gentlemen.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Mr. Calamari mentioned, or Mayor mentioned, that you might be giving an update on the intersection, or no?
It is on the conference agenda, Mr.
Okay,
President.
we'll
So-
hear it. Yeah, all right.
General public discussion. Would anybody motion to open the meeting to the public, please?
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Cumming?
Yes.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. Very quickly, Councilman Bruno is away on business that he could not get out of, and that's why he's not here tonight. Mrs. Osmond.
Marion Osmond, 960 Adams Place. First question is, you're having a presentation tonight. Will people be able to ask questions after the presentation, or it's just a presentation?
Mr. Mayor?
It's just a presentation.
Okay, has any of the council seen any of this information beforehand?
No, we have not, Mrs. Osmond,
Okay, nobody has?
other than what was in our packet on Friday.
Okay.
But you did see the cost
We did see
estimates.
the see the cost estimates, but we did not see the
And
presentation.
some other.
All right, was there a cost estimate for the architect? Did you get that, or is no, that's separate of, I'm not talking about the whole cost of the building and such, but do we know how much the architect is? Because it's, you've had, for the ambulance corps being in it, the ambulance corps not being.
It was one cost, Mrs. Osmond. We
Okay.
were made aware, the mayor presented
Yeah.
that proposal to us months ago when the architect was hired. I believe it's
Was approximately $7,000.
$7,000 total.
For both, yes.
$7,000. Okay. All right, now, the first thing I have to ask is, I understand we have a new business administrator. Is that
Yes,
correct?
that is correct.
Okay, now, I saw the resolution, and I find it's a very strange resolution. I don't know who wrote this resolution, but there's no term of office. Why would there not be, and why would a council approve, you know, a business administrator and a department, director of a department without a term of office?
Because the term of office runs the term of the mayor by law.
Okay, well, it doesn't say that there, so we're
It says by law.
presuming, is
It
this
says
just
by law.
presumption?
It says
I mean,
by
all
law.
the years,
It
Mr.
says-
Pollard,
it says
all of
by
a
law.
sudden now, it's not here?
You know, Mrs. Osmond, all the years, it's a resolution, and it's for the term of the mayor, which is the term of all directors, which is all
I'm sure
directors.
some of the council doesn't even realize that.
We are aware of it, Mrs. Osmond.
You are aware, okay, so this is the first time in the history of Washington Township
Not
that we
true.
had
No,
this.
Not true, not true.
Oh, yeah, it is. I'll go back and I can bring them all to you. You want me to
I
sit
was
in the
here-
office?
I've been here longer than you, Mary Ann.
Ken, this is the first time that there's no term of office, the date.
It says according to law. If you look at the law says,
First time we saw a
Your question's
resolution
been
like
answered,
this.
Mrs. Osmond.
All right. Okay, now, but I understand, and at first when I saw that, I thought, oh, that's a pretty good idea. Now I understand that he's only part-time.
That is not. Do you want to discuss that, Mr. Bell?
Is he part-time?
He is part-time for now, while he is phasing into the job.
Okay, so then he's given notice in Vernon, and he's coming here?
I can't speak to that. I don't know what he's done in Vernon, or
Okay, so
Verona,
you-
sorry.
Verona, I'm sorry, it's Verona. So we don't, is he here during the day?
Not yet.
He was here last Monday for the entire
Correct,
day.
yes.
Well, what's one day, you know, Mr. DeSanto, I'm asking, is he here every day? I
His
mean,
duties are being performed on his time right now because of his conflict with his other position. And he has performed we've gotten a lot of things accomplished, Mrs. Osmond, if that answers your question.
Okay, all right, then, according to what was on the website, our website, it says, as the business administrator and an acting QPA. Well, he has his QPA, why would he be acting? I mean, he is the QPA, or he has his certification.
Yes, he does.
He's had it for years, way before he even became the clerk or came to this town.
It could just, you may have caught a typo on the website,
Yeah,
Mrs. Osmond.
I'll research that. It shouldn't be acting.
All right, so then, and again, we don't know when he's coming, so he's,
He is here. He's
No,
not
I
when
realize he's
coming.
here.
He is an employee as we sit here today. He had a funeral to attend in Florida for his
no, I
childhood friend that
understand
passed away.
No, I understand that. All right, but he is actually going to be our full-time administrator.
He is our full-time administrator. yes.
Okay, but we just don't know when he's going to be here full-time.
He's here working right now.
No,
Except
but
for
he's not
today.
here every day.
No,
This
he
is what
is
I'm
not.
asking. I mean, that's a full-time employee.
Correct.
I mean, you
But
know.
a full-time employee can come in at 4 o'clock and leave at midnight also, Mrs. Osmond.
Well, that doesn't help the residents.
No, it does not, but that's why we have assistants to the administrator who are
Yeah,
here
but
for
they're
many
not
years.
knowledgeable the way he would be.
But he will get right back to them as soon as if there's a question. So if you have anything you'd like to ask him, please put it in writing or call him. He will answer the phone for you, and he will get you the information.
Oh, he'll
you need.
answer the phone here.
Not here, possibly here if he's here that minute.
Okay, so, all right. Okay, so when can we ask questions about this presentation?
After the mayor and council, after the council digests it and has an opportunity to review what these gentlemen are here to present.
Okay. All right.
We
and-
have, like you said before, we have not seen it.
Okay.
We have not seen a draft of it, so this is the first time we will see this presentation, just like you.
Okay. Now, there's nothing on the agenda about a full-time CFO. Are you still discussing a full-time CFO, or?
The advertisement is in the paper, Mr. Mayor, correct? It's going to go in the paper?
I thought there were 2 or 3 people.
We've decided to re-advertise it.
Yes.
Okay, and the one thing that's very sad about, I see that Joe Appar, the lady who works in...
Joy,
I'm sorry. She just got her certificate to be tax collector. I thought originally she was going to be a CFO for her CFO classes. It's a shame that she didn't go for that and she just went for the tax collector.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to come up and address the council at this time? You know the drill.
Good evening. It's short tonight. David Snide, 91 Windsor Circle. I was happy the mayor mentioned about, I guess, the flashing signs, but those are going to be over by the firehouse, right? They're not going to be, there's not going to be any flashing crossing signs. I thought we discussed that. On Pascack Road, there'll be one on Pascack, and there'll be one at Memorial or
Yeah, they'll be
Washington Ave.
by the schools, if you will, yes.
Yeah, and we're going to have one here, so they can cross over and not get killed?
You mean across from the shopping center?
Yeah.
We're looking into the county with that as far as them maybe fixing the one that's actually there. There's
The
one.
blinking light? Or are you saying, there isn't one?
There's a push button across the one from the shopping center that if you press it, you get a green walking light
When it's working?
Yeah.
But it's not working.
That's what I said. We're working
Yeah.
with the county to
Yeah,
get them out here.
But aren't we going to get them, I thought, but also, weren't you going to get a manual sign there for the crossing we talked about, like you'd have a memorial? I mean, it was one more sign. Just, this is the action for the town. Something goes wrong, you have a serious
Let me say, they're a little, when we went to get actual quotes on them, they're a little pricier than we thought, and it might be a little more than what's in the budget.
Do we have to buy through the Bergen County, you know, when you have your meetings and you go down to Atlantic City?
They're all
Do we
state
have to
contract.
buy through the state contractor?
That's always your best deal.
Figures.
And,
It's not, no, I mean, I can tell you, there's sign companies that can do it a lot less.
Okay.
In the area that I work with in my real estate, that would be happy to do it, but if that's the law and we have to do it, then
It's not
we have to
necessarily
do
the
it.
law if you want to get other quotes that show that they are lower than state contract.
Well, yeah, you'll just give me the
So
thing and I'll get it for you. I'll be happy
Okay,
to do it as
I'm
a...
happy to work with you on that if you
Yeah.
want
I
to
just
give me
want-
vendor names.
I just want-
We want to get the most bang
I
for the
just want
buck,
a sign
so.
company to put that
Sure.
up. Not confrontational. I
No,
just
no,
don't
not
want
at all.
anything to
No,
happen.
no.
Okay. The other thing is, I saw on Woodfield Road, the DPW out there the other day with a contractor that was looking at trees that are eventually going to fall, not the trees that have fallen, and the sidewalk that's still deep down into the,
Yes, Mr. Schneid, they were.
Yes.
yeah. And so, what, excuse me?
You saw them the other day, just like I did, and just like I've been screaming up here for 3 months, and nothing has been done. But we've added the trees that are at a 45-degree angle to Woodfield Road, which I notified the mayor and the DMF director, which have now been added to the list of...
Now, is that list, Council President, is that list going to delay what we have to get done on the present thing?
No.
Okay.
And we had put an insurance claim in on the ones that fell by the storm, and it was rejected. So now we know it's on us to
Okay.
go, and that's
But at
why
the
you saw
same
the
time,
contractors
at the same
out there.
time, yeah, but he said he's booked so solid, I heard him talking to the DMF, that
We have not received this quote, Mr. Schneid, so
Yeah,
I
and-
can't.
and-
I wasn't
And he won't be the
interviewing
only
him, I
quote
just happened to be
we solicit.
working with a client there, and I saw that. I just hope we can get the sidewalks that he comes.
Yes.
And on that issue, we do have an ordinance about sidewalks that should be not in disrepair. Ever since I've lived in this town for almost 18 years, I think now, I would bring it up every year. And it's the responsibility of the homeowner, just like you talked about the trees, to be responsible for their sidewalks. Well, the roots of the trees, you just walk from the mall here, from our strip mall, down to Washington Ave, and see some of the elevations on the sidewalks that might be 2 or 3 inches high. So when you're walking naturally, trying to avoid the overhanging tree, the limbs that are sort of hitting you on the head with the leaves, I really think it's important that we enforce this or send something out to the property owners that you will be responsible or a fine will take place. I mean, it seems to me, you don't have to replace the sidewalk. It seems to me you can just raise something to balance it off. I don't think it's scientific. One of the councilmen must know something about this. I don't, except I tripped on it. So, and other people are going to trip on it. And if I'm tripping on it, then there's going to be other people tripping. And if you would be kind enough to just solve that before the fall and the water gets in between the seam, then freezes, then you slip, and then you break your teeth like I did. So, anyways.
We have a new code enforcement official who's being very proactive.
What is his name, dude?
Joe
Settecase.
Settecase.
Joe what?
Settecase.
Settecase.
And his name is Joe?
Yes.
And he's the enforcement? Can that be passed on to him, what I just said
I
about
would be happy to do
the
it.
street? I mean, I'm not even talking about Washington Ave. I mean, you know, there's some real compression fractures there.
You have
But-
1 minute, Mr.
No,
Schneid,
that's it.
sorry.
I didn't have much tonight.
Okay.
Except, I'm happy to see Matt coming back.
Yes.
I got to know him while he was here. He's a good man. Okay, that's it.
Thank you. Anybody else like to come up and address the council at this time? Seeing no one, do I have a motion to close the public discussion?
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Cummings?
Yes.
Councilman Oman?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. At this time, a presentation of the Firehouse and Ambulance Corps building, Rob Conley, architect. Robbie, excuse me. Mr. Conley?
Are we moving down below, Mike?
Yes, if we could take a seat down below, gentlemen.
You know, just, I think it's great that we're going to have the presentation this evening. We did receive the expenses, but that's section 6 of a report. I think it would have been helpful if we would have had the full report before.
Can we PDF that and send it to everybody 2 weeks ago?
Sorry,
Sue sent it out 2 weeks ago to everybody.
The full report or just the estimates?
Most of the beginning
draft,
of the report was just the study of looking
But I
at
thought
the
you sent it
existing
us.
building, and it's all, I believe, in
Can you confirm
what's
that?
there.
The building drawings,
Confirm that we sent that out?
I believe it would be beneficial to understand the existing and what's being presented and what's being proposed, as well as the expenses. So, to see a bill for $5 million would be nice to understand what's led up to that. Thank you.
Well, we have a portable mic up there.
I'll have my hands full.
Okay.
I think I'll sit here so my back's not
Yes,
to
you guys
everybody.
speak.
The microphone here. And yes.
Wait, we have a handheld one.
Didn't have
Hold
the
on.
headphones on when I did that. So, okay, my name is Rob Conley. I am the architect and owner of Robbie Conley Architect. We were hired to do a needs assessment and deficiency report of the fire department property. And please. Possibly, yes. Please bear with me this morning, this evening. This is a new projector, so hopefully it'll work out fine. A little bit about myself. I've been a firefighter and I've been in the fire service for 35 years, architecture for 30 years. I was the chief of the Woodbury Heights Fire Department for 10 years, councilman in my town for 3 years. I'm currently the mayor of Woodbury Heights for another 5 months. I'm a one-term mayor. I'm not looking for a second term. And we have substantial experience throughout the state of New Jersey in emergency service buildings, police, fire, and ambulance buildings. In the area, we've just finished up the new Montvale Firehouse. We worked with the Borough of New Milford on renovations and additions to both of their firehouses, and we also designed the new Milford Police Station. That's what we've done up in this area. We've worked for over 50 emergency service clients throughout the state of New Jersey. Currently, we're working with Cape May down at the other end of the Garden State Parkway and the city of Wildwood. So basically what we do is we look at the existing facility. We started out looking at the existing property and the site access. Here's your existing building that sits here off of Washington Avenue. You have enough apron space here to pull your vehicles out. Your aerial device, it's a little tight with the aerial device, but behind your building right now, you really don't have any additional property because of the slope there. So your site access seems to be adequate. You have enough parking on both sides and ample amount or enough apron space out front to be able to pull your vehicles out. One of the things with the siting of your existing firehouse, I noticed several times while we were out there that the traffic does back up off of Pascock Road. And so I'm not sure how you guys pull out in the traffic when that's happening and it's backed up there, but I did hear that you're looking at getting stop signs, flashing stop signs on both sides. So hopefully that'll help you out a little bit with that in the future. Moving into the inside of the buildings, we basically break it apart into operations, administration, and house operations, and I'll kind of explain a little bit about them as we move forward. Operations itself is the operations of the firehouse, your engine bays, those sort of things. You can see here your engine bays are very tight, they're very small. They were designed for when fire apparatus was much smaller than what it is now. There's a very small space between the side of the engine and the walls. You can see here where your ladder truck is pulled in, that it's in the back. There's other equipment and things around, and if you can see this slide here, you can see how tight the top of the vehicle is to the ceiling and the overhead door. Basically, the building worked well when we had smaller vehicles, but the fire trucks of today, which are larger, taller, wider, they don't seem to fit in there very well. Also in the engine bays, again, here's another picture showing tightness of the wall. This is between the two vehicles, so you can see there's not a whole lot of space between the vehicles either. In fact, if you have a compartment door open in one vehicle and you're sitting there doing some work on the vehicle, you can't get by. You can't open up the doors in two trucks next to each other to move stuff. There's just not enough space there. Radio room. Right now you currently have a room, it's more of a multi-purpose room where you have radios set up. You can see there's also stuff stored in this area. It's not necessarily a good condition for your radio and your operations in your radio room. Turnout gear storage. Currently your gear is stored in one of your engine bays. You took one of your engine bays, cleared it out so it doesn't fit a vehicle any longer, but that's where you put all your fire apparatus. It works. Is it the ideal situation, or is it really a good situation? No, it really isn't. One of the things with this is you have a exhaust system, which you can see in this picture here, that sits up on the ceiling. It's a cleaner. It cleans the diesel fumes that come out of the vehicles. And what happens is your fire gear is sitting right here. So when the trucks start up, the diesel fumes are coming out, and that's getting on the turnout gear, which is basically it's uncombustible material that's going onto the clothing that the firemen need to wear into a burning building. It's not an ideal situation. You can see here the maintenance room. This is the maintenance, more of a storage / maintenance area. These guys need to maintain their equipment, their hand equipment, small tools, chainsaws, whatnot, and there's really not an area to do that. This is kind of a tight little closet that they're trying to use as a maintenance room. Also with the SCBA, self-contained breathing apparatus, this is the firefighter's lifeline when he goes into a burning building. Currently, the bottles are stored out here in the engine bay. There's really not a clean area or an area to store this that's not part of the engine bays. There's not a separate closet or a separate office area or space. General storage, there's some storage underneath of the stairs, there's some storage up on the second floor in the attic, and the rest of the storage is really just in the engine bays, in the back of the engine bays and next to the vehicles. There's really no storage space in the building for the equipment and the spare equipment that they need to store. So when we did the needs assessment, what should they have in the operation? They should have an engine room of about 4,988 or 5,000 square feet, maintenance room about 300 square feet, radio room about 300 square feet, and their self-contained breathing apparatus room of about 150, 145 square feet. Those spaces are not what you have currently in the building. So you don't have adequate room for the current or any future apparatus. Now when we say future apparatus, we're not talking about the fire department going out and buying 5 more fire trucks. We're talking about future apparatus because the apparatus is getting bigger and basically they can't fit it in the building that they have. I believe that the ladder trucks, last time the ladder truck was purchased, it had to be modified, it had to be a custom vehicle to be able to fit in those doors. And that's one of the things you pay extra for these vehicles because your firehouse isn't big enough to fit them in. Dedicated radio room, dedicated decontamination room or decontamination area, which they don't have in the building now. Adequate maintenance room, turnout gear room, and dedicated general storage. These are all things that are deficient or lacking within the facility. Administrative spaces. Administrative spaces, here you can see this is the door in the chief's office. We couldn't really get a picture of the chief's office because it's really nothing more than a closet. It's maybe 5 by 5 or 6 by 5. It's not really what you would consider an office. This here is also a common office area, which is looking the opposite way of this picture. You can see there's a desk back here, there's a filing cabinet. There's really no space in there for the office areas that are required. And keep in mind that the records that the fire chief keeps, he keeps personnel records. These are things that need to be kept under lock and key. They're not things that the general public or even all of the other firefighters are supposed to see. You have HIPAA rules, you have OSHA, you have PIOSH. There's a lot of requirements that the fire chief has, even though it's a volunteer fire department. There's a lot of requirements, and there's things that are private and should be behind a closed door under lock and key. And really, this is more or less just a storage closet. Memorabilia storage. Pride in a volunteer organization is extremely important. Right now on the second floor, they do have a nice little storage case or storage cabinet for the trophies, the trophy case. It's nice that the members get to see this, but it would be really nice if this could be moved down on the first floor where the public could see it also. If the public's coming in for a meeting, it would be nice if they were able to see some of the stuff that the guys take pride in. And also if neighboring fire departments are coming in for training or coming in for a mutual aid assignment, they can see this memorabilia also. And this history and this pride in the volunteer organization plays a big part in the volunteers. Also meeting room, training room. They do have a meeting room up on the second floor, which does work fairly well, but you can see here on the right-hand side, there's a sofa there. It's really more of a multi-purpose room than an actual training meeting room. For instance, when we were up there having a meeting with them for this process, we had to kick everybody else out of the space. Guys couldn't be up there watching TV or hanging out while they were having a meeting because you share one room. There's really not the multiple spaces. You do have a decent kitchen up there, commercial hood, commercial kitchen. It is fairly nice and it's adequate for the needs. And then you do have a lounge up there also. Boiler room. The boiler room seems adequate, but again, there's no room for storage in the building. So you can see here there's a shop vac, there's a ladder, there's some other things stored in this space because there's just not enough storage within the existing building. So administration. So here's some of the spaces that we came up with in the needs assessment that they should have. They should have a separate conference room, copier equipment room. Copier equipment room is also for when these guys are doing training and they want to do handouts or they want to do a test or they want to do something of that sort that they want to hand out to all the members. A copy machine and a small table where they could lay these things out and collate them would be a big help to them, rather than trying to do everything off of a small tabletop copy machine. Archive storage room for storage of archive records. Lieutenant's office, chief/deputy chief's office, they can share an office. They don't need to each have a separate office, but at least they need to have an office that's separated from the rest of the officers. Captain battalion chief office, again, they can share an office. Future office, miscellaneous spaces, they're what I call my spaces. That's the electric room, the IT room, the sprinkler room, those spaces that are needed. So that's what, when you see miscellaneous on there, that's what they are. So some of the areas that are missing, there's really no administrative reception area or lobby or entrance. There's really no entrance area to the building. Public display for memorabilia, conference room, copy equipment room, dedicated file room, chief's office, lieutenant's office, captain's storage space. Again, storage space. We go into house operations. Here's the house operations. This is kind of their lounge, and this is the back portion of what I showed you earlier, which was the training and meeting room. There's a sofa there, and this is a table filled up with stuff here. And you can see these are kind of where they hang out, but these are the same chairs that turn the other way. They're there for their meetings and their trainings. The kitchen is adequate. The kitchen is in pretty decent shape and pretty decent condition. It does have the commercial hood. It does seem to meet the current code. Laundry area. Right now, this is the gear washer. The gear washer is in the back of the engine bays, and it's at the rear of the ladder truck. There's really not enough room. In fact, if you want to get around here, you have to either walk through this space here or walk around the front and come back down. And I believe this is the hose and gear dryer right next to it. So you can see that there's really not enough space for a laundry room. Needs assessment. Some of the things that are lacking. Men's lockers and showers, women's lockers and showers. Multi-purpose room or training room, storage room, ready room, separate male bunk room, separate female bunk room, and you do have the commercial kitchen, but this is what we came up with the needs assessment. So we don't have a male and female locker shower room, male or female bunk rooms, fitness room, the meeting room, or the dedicated storage. You do have a meeting room, but it's not dedicated to just meetings. Let's talk briefly about lockers and showers and bunk rooms.
Can you explain, when you put this together, is this based on the optimum layout, or is this what was identified by the fire department staff?
These are the needs that were identified by the fire department staff, and these are basically looking at what a firehouse in 2018 should have and is required to have per NFPA, per the Division of Fire Safety, et cetera, et cetera.
When I read your write-up, in the event the department transitions to career full-time firefighters, we would need to have a bunk room. I don't believe that's a plan.
No, and that's what I was just going to explain. Right now, bunk rooms and locker shower rooms, they're not necessarily required because you don't have full time, but if your guys are there for a storm standby or a cover assignment, or they're there for a couple days because of another Sandy or Irene or something like that. That's why most fire departments now are putting in bunk rooms. And if you put in bunk rooms, you really need to either have separate 1 or 2 bed rooms, or you need to have male and female facilities. Okay, whether you have a female firefighter or not, you really need to have both of those spaces. And the same thing with the lockers and showers. Lockers and showers, you would think that that would be something that would be more used in the event of people staying there or full-time firefighters. But when you go to a fire today and you're crawling through the soot and the dirt and you have the water running up your legs, your pants are getting wet, you're getting this material on your clothing. And that's something you really shouldn't be taking home to your family. So you should have a place where you can get changed, get a quick shower, get this stuff rinsed off of you, and go home to your family. You shouldn't be carrying this material home. So that's where the locker rooms and the bunk rooms come in. Are they necessary right now? No. They're more than nice to have, but they're not a need to have. So they're kind of in the middle. Okay.
Just make a quick comment. If we go ahead with this, we're looking at something for the next 50 years, and so even though it's not needed now, we wouldn't want to have to say 20 years from now, oh, we should have done this because there aren't enough volunteers anymore.
And that is correct. When we're doing this and we're looking at the needs of the department, we're looking at the needs today, and we're trying to project 20, 25 years down the road. And we're designing a building that's going to last 50 to 75 years or even 100 years. So we're trying to predict further down the road of what may happen. And I know that a lot of counties and a lot of areas right now are going more and more to paid firefighters or per diem firefighters, not necessarily full paid employees, but per diem firefighters during the day and also during overnight hours. So that is what's moving forward.
Two quick questions for you. The existing PHOS distances between the truck, is it an issue right now? They're below the minimum requirement.
They are below the minimum requirement.
So that is an issue we currently have.
It is a dangerous, yes, it is a dangerous.
Also, the diesel removal system in your proposed square footages, we have enough for like a magnetic muffler boot to go on and slide down that area, which is too small right now to install that system.
Correct.
So your square footage includes the walkways becoming POSHA
acceptable
widths.
Yes.
So I just want to make sure we're programming that.
Yes.
I knew you were, but I just wanted to.
Yes, and the diesel exhaust, the system that you have is a okay system for modifications for an existing facility.
It's not an
but no, NFPA states source capture diesel exhaust system. What you have is not a source capture system. What you're talking about, the magnetic connections, that's actually a source capture where it does capture.
So if our
fumes
gear
at
was
the
stored in
source.
the bay, it wouldn't matter because it's being captured until it leaves the building.
Correct.
Thank you.
So, and then towards the end of or in the middle, I guess you could say, of our needs assessment and report and analysis, we were asked to also include the EMS facilities. Now, we did not go out and we did not do a deficiency report on the EMS facility. We kind of did a quick needs assessment on the EMS just so we could get an idea of a space if the EMS was to come in and put their building over here with us. So basically what we looked at was 2 ambulance bays at approximately 900 square feet, men's and females, lockers and showers, separate meeting training room, separate day room, separate male and female bunk rooms, and a residential kitchen area. That's pretty much the bare minimum of what you would need to operate an EMS facility, which when I was introducing myself, I also spent 23 years as an emergency medical technician, and I was the ambulance captain of our ambulance that was part of our fire department. So I do have an EMS background also, in addition to the fire background. So we spoke at a meeting and we came up with these spaces, which would be approximately a 3,000 square foot space.
They have no need for administrative offices?
I believe the meeting training room would be able to double as an administrative office.
And they don't have the HIPAA, all the requirements?
No, they do. They do have some of those. So
I mean, let's, if we're going to be, let's see it.
Well, let's go to the floor plan, because I thought the floor plan actually had an office. It may not be on this list, but I thought the floor plan actually had an office. But this was something that we did kind of halfway through the process as we were moving on. So this is basically our first solution for the building. This here is the existing building. So what we looked at is we looked at building an EMS addition onto one side of the building and the fire addition onto the other side of the building. The existing would be able to be used for utility vehicles and for 2 ambulances. I'm having a hard time seeing. I'm trying to see if one of these is an office, one of these yellow administrative spaces. I do believe that one of those 2 is an office. It's a little hard to see on here. You might be able to see better on the action book.
The first one is labeled office.
Okay, this one right here is labeled office? Yes. So there is an office in there in the design. It was just missed on that needs sheet. So basically, the 2 ambulances here, if they needed to be completely separate, a wall could be built here to separate the ambulance off from the other. Now, one of the other things is, we're doing these designs not with a whole lot of input from the fire department and no input from the ambulance. This is just a possibility of a design that would work, so we can put a dollar amount to it. If we were to move forward into the actual project, we would sit down, we would have to go through a schematic design process and go through that whole portion of the project. This is a conceptual design. This is not necessarily the building that we're suggesting that you take. This is a possible solution, and it gives a dollar value to it. And we do the multiple solutions, and we do a cost for a new building, so you can look at the order of magnitude, and you can have an idea of how much money you would need if you were to do one of these additions or renovations or a new facility. That's really what we're doing here. So what we did on this design is, this is the addition, this is a lobby, stairs, and elevator in this area, gear rooms in the back, maintenance space here, your 4 engine bays, 2 of them that are deep enough for the longer trucks or the aerial apparatus, and you have your SCBA and some other storage space here across the back. The existing has some storage, and I believe that's SCBA, a laundry area, decon space, and then your utility vehicles here, and we added another toilet room on that side. Up on a mezzanine level, which would be part of the addition, we have the lockers and showers and bunk rooms and a small ready room in the front. Up on the second floor, we utilize the existing, this new circulation space goes up. We have a couple of offices up there, and then we have the meeting room and the kitchen space and the lounge. We tried to reuse those spaces on this design.
Just to comment really quick, where is the elevator?
This is the elevator right here. And that comes up to the mezzanine level, and it's also on the first floor there. So. And this solution comes to for the fire department only, and we did this because we weren't sure if the ambulance was going to be part of this or not, so we kind of separated the cost estimates. For the fire department, for this scheme 1, it would be about $4.4 million, and to add in the ambulance, it's about $1 million more when you add in the ambulance, so it comes out to about $5.4 million. Solution number 2, again, we put an addition at the center. This is more of your circulation area, radio room, gear room in the back. We kept the first floor of your existing building, again, to utilize that for the utility vehicles, the smaller vehicles, the pickup trucks, and the ambulances. This one here, you can see we do have a wall across there separating the ambulances from the rest of the bays. And again, the 4 bays on this side for the vehicles. The main difference with this design is we left out the mezzanine and we went directly to a larger second floor, and this piece in the middle is a little bit bigger. So here on the second floor, you have your bunk rooms, you have your lockers and showers, and all your office spaces up here. Again, we kept the meeting room and the kitchen and the lounge as they are. This design is $4.6 million for just the firehouse. With the EMS, it's 5.6, almost $5.7 million. So actually 4.7 and 5.7 is what this schematic design or this solution would be. Third solution, this was basically taking your existing building and turning that into administrative space. Rather than try to put any fire apparatus in the existing building, we turn that into administrative space, put toilet rooms in here, put the meeting room, put the office areas. This is the radio room, this is your gear storage. We put some storage across the back, and we put your engine bays here, all in new construction. Yes, where's the ambulance? Well, basically we did the same thing, but putting the ambulance on this side with their separate bays, again, separated off from the fire department if they would want them separate. And on both of these, the second floor becomes more of the house operations. That's where we have the bunk rooms and the lounge, and that sort of stuff is up on the second floor of the building. So the cost for this is actually a little bit cheaper. It's $4.1 million for just the fire department, and it's 5.1, almost 5.2 for the EMS. So what does this all mean? What's a new building? You look at this. Looking at a new building based on the needs that we came up with and the needs assessment that's in the booklet, the full needs that we've gone over, a new building would be approximately 4.9, say $5 million for the fire facility, and 5.9 or $6 million for fire and EMS. Now, we don't do any designs for the new building at this point, but you have the prices there if that's the direction that the town would like to go. Then we would design that facility within this budget. So this comes down, the cost estimate is for a new building is $4.9 million, and this is for fire only. 4.9, almost $5 million for a new building, just under $4.5 million for Scheme 1, over $4.5 million for Scheme 2, and just over $4 million for Scheme 3. If you include the ambulance also with it, with the EMS, a new building is $5.9 million. Scheme 1 would be 5.4, just under 5.5. Scheme 2 would be just over 5.5 at 5.69. And Scheme 3 would be 5.184, or just under $5.2 million. So the benefits of a new firehouse is you have a building with a 50 to 75 year lifespan. New buildings are insulated and they're going to meet the energy code, so therefore you're going to save money on the operation of the building now and into the future. New buildings will meet all the current codes. Safety and security, currently you have some equipment that's exposed to weather that will be able to be placed in a new building. The other thing with the safety and security is a new building is a lot easier to maintain and take care of in the future rather than putting all of that money into an older facility. New buildings will meet the barrier-free subcode and the requirements, as so will the additions and renovations. Maintenance spaces will be available, and again, we talk about HIPAA, OPRA, NIFRS, NFPA, PIOSH, all of those requirements will be met with a new building. That pretty much concludes our presentation. I'll go back to the cost if Mayor and Council have any questions. I know I threw a lot to you. You'll have a booklet there. Basically, you'll see in the booklet that we went through every space in the building, and we use what's called a semi-scientific method. We look at the furniture and the equipment that's required in each space. We put the square footage of that equipment and that furniture, and then we add in a square footage for the occupancy load. And that's how we come up with the size of each space and what the requirement is. And by doing this, like I said, it's the closest thing to a scientific method, and we're making sure that the building that we would be designing is not oversized and it's not too small. It's going to be able to meet your needs and meet the needs well into the future of the borough.
So EMS, is there any opportunity in options 1 through 3 to have a drive-through?
Not on this site. Unless we were to make it a separate building on that site, I don't see any way of making it a drive-through because of the depth of that site is so limited with that scope.
And not blocking the way, but with a new building, situated wherever we wanted on that site, would that site support a drive-through?
Probably not because of the depth of it, unless we were able to turn the building sideways and utilize most of that site. Now, the one thing that I would suggest looking at this site and looking at the use of the site is if you were to take the parking area, which I guess is further north on Washington, I guess that's north. East. Okay, further east. If you were to take that parking area and build the new building there, and then once you were completed, then you could tear down the old building and move the parking over there. That way you don't have all the people walking in front of the firehouse, plus you're moving that parking area a little bit closer to the intersection and the bus stop. So, you do have a nice piece of property there, a nice long piece of property, and it's my understanding that the borough also, or the township also owns the red house up there.
Correct.
So you do have a decent piece of property there in a decent space. But unfortunately, unless you were to move the building 90 degrees, I think pull-through bays or drive-through bays would be a little difficult on this site, just because of the depth of the site.
You also mentioned this is built for potentially tomorrow. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but there's a need or a trend where there are paid firemen either during the day or at night. Did you do any assessment of the current calls, and does the equipment that's in there, is it needed? Are all 4 needed? Do you need 3? Have you done that assessment, or are you basing it on what we currently have?
Yeah, we're basing it on what you currently have and the ideas of the operations from your current officers. We're not doing a fire protection study. We're just doing a fire facility study. To do a fire protection study would be a whole lot more entailed than what we do.
So in the future, there are trends towards consolidation of fire departments, sharing of equipment. A building of this size might not be necessary in 20 years.
That is a possibility.
Okay.
That is definitely a possibility. Now, one of the things with the buildings that we design, we try to design every firehouse, even most of the police stations, but they're a little bit harder. But we try to design every firehouse with as few bearing walls as possible and as few block walls as possible. And most of the partitions within the building are metal stud and drywall because they're really easy to change in the future. I know when I joined the fire service in 1982, weapons of mass destruction was nothing that we even thought about. Today, since September 11th, it's something that is in the minds of every first responder, and it's something that we now train for, and it's a whole different world that we live in than it used to be. We used to go out for, in my town, I live in a 1 square mile town, we used to go out for a lot of brush fires and not many alarm systems. Now you don't get many brush fires, but you get alarm systems every day. It's just the change in the trends, and we can't really guess, predict what's going to happen. The best we can do is have an educated guess, I guess is the best way to put it.
Okay. Mr. Conlon, do you feel that the 4 schemes you have here, the new build and scheme 1, 2, 3, and you have a 20% contingency based on the age of our firehouse, were to go with scheme 1, 2, 3, are you comfortable at this state to say 20% would be enough for all unforeseen conditions? Or would we end up being at the new building code? I've experienced both, and it's an ugly path to go down. And I know you can't, because you don't have X-ray vision, look inside the walls. But you look at scheme 1, if you look at scheme 2, $4.7 million. You're $250,000 away from building a new building, and you don't have any anticipated unforeseen conditions when you open up the wall to do something. You put 20%, which is standard, but are we comfortable with that building with the lack of maintenance it's had in the years in the past? That 20% would be enough, or do we need to do some more investigating?
I think if we were to go that direction, we should probably do a little bit more investigation, especially of the masonry walls on the first floor.
Because I saw in some of your pictures, some of those masonry walls are not the greatest shape.
No, they're not.
When we start opening that up and the contract comes back for a change order for $100,000 to replace the back wall because it's been waterlogged for all these years because the slope is sitting on it, these are questions we're probably more of these questions are going to come out after tonight. Yes. But I'm just concerned that you put the 20, which is, I would do the same thing. But at the end of the day, is it a true 20? Because we could end up at 40 or 50, and then we're all going to kick ourselves saying we should have just built a new building, which is the trend I see. I see the Montvale Firehouse. I saw the beautiful building you built there, and in New Milford. They're both beautiful buildings. They're an outstanding job. And I've done renovations and I've built new ones, and renovations are always a problem.
I agree.
You just talked it out a little bit because
I agree, and we do a very good job with our cost estimating and during construction keeping change orders to a minimum. But I can tell you that we had some issues on both of the New Milford firehouses, which were renovations and additions, unforeseen conditions on both of those projects, and I would expect to have them here also. When you're looking at
that 20%, we blow through that in no time, and now we're at like 40 or 50, and then we're going to sit here saying, why didn't we just build a new building?
Well, looking at these numbers,
it's too close.
my recommendation, unless you definitely could not afford it, would be to find a way to build the new building. Because if you're looking at, going out and bonding for 30 years, there's not a whole lot of difference and I'm not a bond expert by any means, but I do a lot of these buildings, and I do know some about bonding and long-term financing. And if you're looking at bonding a building for 30, 40 years, there's not a whole lot of difference when you're talking about $500,000 or $600,000. Very little difference to
10%.
To the residents. When you're talking about how much it's going to cost each resident, you're talking, dollars a year. We're not talking hundreds of dollars a year. And going from
that number to
this number to this number, or this number to this number. So my recommendation would be to look at everything based on a new building, and then if you find that it's impossible for you to be able to afford that, but you know that you have to do something, then look at one of the others. That would be my suggestion.
We asked the firm to do both because we knew the questions would come up.
But
seeing the numbers so close, I tend to agree with you, Mike.
My other question is, do your fees include going to the county planning board and so forth, since it's not county, so those numbers are
yes. Yeah, the basically, let me go back to one of wrong way. Basically, what we're talking about above the line is what we call bricks and sticks, or the cost of the actual building, cost of the new construction, cost of the renovation and addition, cost of alteration, site work, demolition. We even put a ballpark number in there for furniture, new diesel exhaust system, other specialized equipment of about $30,000, new emergency generator. That gives you the construction cost. We add in a number for professional fees, which would be site civil engineering, going in front of the county planning board, doing everything that we need to get the approvals. We also put in a legal reproduction fee. That's mostly what it's going to cost you for, or approximately what it's going to cost for bonding. That's actually a number that the state uses for educational facilities for bonding.
And in theory, if we went with the new route, the contingency should come down because there's not as many unknowns.
Correct.
So the cost could come down if we already do, because you include 20 even in construction, did you not?
I think it was 10 for new
Oh, 10, I'm sorry.
I usually drop the new construction
10.
down to 10, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the new construction, we drop down to 10, and we would be comfortable to even lower that a little bit more once we got a geotechnical engineer out there and we knew that we were building on good ground.
Yeah.
You know, there's a parking lot there. It may have been a parking lot for years. I'm not sure, but I know we did a project in South Orange where there was a parking lot there. It was there for years. It was the town property. As soon as we took the asphalt off and started digging, we found a foundation there that wasn't properly filled in. So once we did the geotech and we knew it was underground, we might be able to even, you know, get that number down a little bit more.
And albeit a very small cost with the emergency generators, see on each one. We have a grant for that currently, but we have to be able to tell them exactly where we would put it within the next 9 months. Otherwise, the grant will expire. So that if we can at least decide on a location for it, that's all they need to say, okay, we'll give you the grant.
Okay.
It has to be an exact location on the property.
So that'll save some money there also.
Anything else, gentlemen, for Mr. Connell? Thank you so much.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. I appreciate it. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact us.
Thank you.
I like this. I'm going to stay with it. Just leave it out.
You're going to leave it there?
Just leave it right there. Good.
On the table for
Those screens. Like even those screens. Here and maybe
Yeah, no problem. I'll try to remember to email it.
Okay, and I'll try to send you a reminder.
Okay, thank you.
You gonna go?
I'm gonna go. I'll be right back. No.
take a 5-minute break. Public, 10-minute break.
Ricky, we're going to take a 10-minute break. Thank you. Ordinances, individual resolutions, none. Consent agenda. All of the following items have been determined to have the unanimous consent of council and will be enacted in one motion. Should any item require independent consideration, any council member may have such item removed from consent agenda. Resolution 18-270, approval and acceptance of the Corrective Action Plan 2017 audit. Resolution 18-271, authorize rejecting proposals for grant writing services received and authorize administrator to rebid competitive contract. Resolution 18-272, authorize execution of application for cooperative purchasing. Resolution 18-273, authorize renewal of membership and execute agreement in the Bergen County Municipal Joint Insurance Fund. Resolution 18-274, authorize the advertisement for bids for road improvements on Woodfield Road. Resolution 18-275, authorize refund of prorated property tax balance and cancel future property tax bill. Veteran exemption, Block 4313.01, Lot 18, 516 Calvin Street. Resolution 18-276, authorize refund of prorated property tax balance and cancel future tax bills. Veteran exemption, Block 4415, Lot 33, 320 Hickory Street. Resolution 18-277, authorize refund of recreation fees. Elena Pinto, $50. Resolution 18-278, authorize refund of recreation fees. Maria Polaro, $40. Resolution 18-279, authorize refund of recreation fees. Anita Tekik, $40. Resolution 18-280, authorize refund of recreation fees. Suzanne Esterlis, $880. Resolution 18-281, authorize refund of recreation fees. Michelle Collis, $20. Resolution 18-282, authorize refund of recreation fees. Maureen Rapalda Garcia, $265. Resolution 18-283, authorize refund of recreation fees. Nicole Murad, $80. Resolution 18-284, Authorize refund the recreation fees, Kimberly Riley, $40. Does anybody want anything pulled, or can we move along the consent agenda?
No, I like things either explained or pulled, however you want to do it.
Sure, Mr. Ullman, what would you?
Can we motion and second
Yeah,
before we do that?
Let's motion, please. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Now you can, Mr. Ullman.
Do we have to vote?
I think the way to do this, the best way is identify the ones you want individually
Pulled.
considered, then take a vote on the ones that you are
Right.
in agreement, and then take them one at a time.
Okay, 18270, I'd like pulled.
1 second, Mr. Ullman. 270, yes.
18270, 18272, 18273, 277, 278, 279, 280, 281, 283, and 284.
And you want 282 also, right? You skipped that one.
No, I think that one I don't have, let me just quickly double check. I didn't know this is how we would do it.
Well, you pulled all the refund the recreation fees. That's the only one you
No,
missed.
282 is fine.
Oh, okay.
Mike, I think I can read where you're going. Do you want to look at 280 also? I think that one's...
He did ask 280 also.
Oh, then there's one other one, 282.
He said he doesn't want that one
The
read.
administrative fee, is
Oh,
that what
yeah,
you're...
280,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 280. We can, if we can vote on it.
So 280.
So 280 and 282 are okay. So,
Gentlemen, could I have a roll call for everything? Mr. Ullman's asked at 270, 272, 273, 277, 278, 279, 281, 283, and 284 be pulled at this time. Is that correct, Mr. Ullman?
That's correct.
May I have a roll call, please?
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Cumming?
Yes.
Councilman DeSena?
Yes.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Okay, now just take a vote on the ones that you're in agreement with.
Who just did?
No, that was
that's
pulled.
we pulled
You just
those.
pulled them.
Okay.
We pulled, so you go.
You could have
want
combined, you could have
271.
combined it.
Yes, all right. So now we're going to roll call for the ones we're approving. Resolution 271, 274, 275, 276, 280, 282, and that is it. Roll call, please.
There's five, correct?
There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
I have 71, 74, 76.
72. You forgot 72.
No, 71,
72. Oh, 71, 74, 75, 76,
76,
And a 75.
80, and 82.
82.
Okay, This is one that you're going to vote on now.
Yes, please.
Well, you do. All right, now, do we need a motion, Ken, to
No,
approve?
he just asked,
Just a roll call?
he just asked for it.
Okay. Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Cumming?
Yes.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. Mr. Ullman, 270, what is your question?
The audit. I don't understand why some of these items have an implementation date of year end. I understand that we have a part-time CFO, and we may not have a full staff there, but some of these items are reconciliations that probably should be brought up to date. So I'm at a loss as to why we're waiting for year end on some. The trust account for payroll for October 31st. You know, why does it take that long to have this funded? Does it require an action by the council? Is it an action by finance? So I think that our response or our reply is deficient.
So you want to up those dates, Mike, to...
Well, I don't think I can enforce a date on whoever has to do it. I think I would like it pulled, and if we can get a more reasonable date or a closer date? Because it'll be a full year before it's resolved. From when it occurred, was identified, although the report was issued the end of June, these items were not sprung on anyone on June 29th. These were known before the report was issued, so.
The only thing I can comment on, because obviously they're administrator and CFO items, is in the cover page. It says the governing body has to, or should approve it within 60 days of receipt, received June 29th. So that would be August 29th. I don't know if we're going to have our second meeting this month or not. So again, just from a lay perspective, I would suggest that the governing body pass it, and we will certainly find out from the administrator and CFO why these dates are what they are and see if they can be moved up. I just don't know any penalties or anything if we don't do it within the 60 days that's on this cover sheet.
Well, I guess I understand what you're saying, Peter, but if these were issued on the 29th, why are we, again, we all know the situation. I'm trying to be respectful of that. At the same time, this is another instance where it's being put before us. We don't know the penalty, but we're being asked to pass something because we haven't had time to discuss it. Now we're discussing it. A councilman doesn't have a comfort level, or we're asking some information, and we're being told, that's great, I hear you, but there's a timeline that we have to adhere to. So, if that's the way it's going to be, I would like whoever is responsible, whether it be, I would like to request of the mayor that whoever is responsible for these items, if they could explain why it's taking to year end or October 31st, and if it can be brought forward. And if that could be done before our next meeting, it would be greatly appreciated.
I'd be happy to do that.
Are we going to do these individually?
Yes, Mrs. Witkowski would like to comment.
If I could just make a comment. Before you even did this part, you all signed off on an affidavit stating that you reviewed the recommendations of the audit. So that was put in front of you 2 weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago. It would have been the second meeting, I guess, of July. This is just now the CFO putting in writing what the recommendation of what should be done and when. The CFO picks up these dates. It's not something that I know of being standard, saying that you have to do this by this date, this by that date. So I'm sure by looking at this and figuring a new CFO was going to be coming into play, but she wanted the new CFO to handle actually the corrective action. Figuring that was a good way to get on board. And like the mayor said, there is a deadline. I hate to say it as a deadline, but within 60 days, I have to send it down to the state.
Mr. Allman, would you be amenable?
So I can work with you on that.
Can we just change the dates?
Can we just make the dates to October 31st, Mr. Allman? Would you be amenable to that?
No, I think we should approve it as it's been presented, and I mean, you could do whatever you want. I'm fine.
I'm asking, would that make it digest for you better if we made them October 31st instead of December 31st, moving it up 4 months?
Or what if...
That the corrective actions were done sooner than later.
So it can be passed as is, and, my request of the mayor was to find out why it's taking so long and if it can be moved up. So it's being presented, to put an artificial date on anyone is not the right way to do it either. So it's acceptable to me if the mayor will get an answer for us that we approve it as is.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're okay with approving it as is? Okay. Gentlemen,
Mike, it's not an artificial date. If you desire this to be done sooner than later, change the date. I understand what you're saying. This was known back, the deficiency was known back last December 31st, okay? And now to correct it,
So the order just came.
I understand, but there were deficiencies that were
Right.
recognized, okay? But we got the audit, not that we didn't know it wasn't there. We just got the report on June, right? So it was already there. Yeah, it's a little ridiculous to say, well, you know, if you want something expedited, change the date.
That's
have
why I
no
was saying,
problem
we'll
with
move the
that.
date to October 31st.
And
and
then this will, you know, force the hand to get it done in an appropriate time, not a year later.
Again, so Steve, again, I'm not going to, first of all, put a gun to anyone's head that they have to finish something before year end. If, again, I would say again that it's a concern of mine that these are pushed out so far. We've asked for an explanation. The people who can provide that explanation are not here this evening, and we have to pass this. So let's pass it as it's written, and let's get an explanation. And the mayor has committed to getting that explanation. So if we could bring it forward, let's bring it forward. I'm not into, I don't propose putting an artificial date on someone who's going to miss it anyway, or potentially miss it anyway.
Gentlemen, can I have a motion to adopt resolution number 18-270 with the mayor providing an explanation of why the dates are pushed back so far? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Roll call.
Councilman Casio?
No.
Councilman Cumming?
Yes.
Councilman Oman?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. I'd like the dates moved up without an explanation. I just want it done. I'm not holding a gun to anybody's head.
There are no guns, but it's a very
Thank
good
you.
idea.
18-272, Mr. Ullman? Yes, 272.
Yes. What is this cooperative for?
I believe it's one of the places that gave us a quote on the senior bus.
It is for the
If
senior.
we buy it through this cooperative.
Okay.
The cooperative will give us the ability to purchase a 18-seater, two ADA chair accessible van, which has already been constructed by a firm which has supplied 3 other municipalities in Bergen County to us. They're already built.
Okay. I mean, it just, I read these, it doesn't say that anywhere.
Okay.
So that's great.
Sorry. No, it doesn't.
Motion for 18-272.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Cumming?
Yes.
Councilman Oman?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. 18-273.
So in the supplement to 18273, the Township of Washington hereby ratifies and reaffirms the indemnity and trust agreement, bylaws, and other organizational operational documents of the Bergen GIF as from time to time amended and altered. And I guess we're in accordance with those. And my only question is our risk manager appointed in accordance with public contract law? Because that is one of the bylaws. The GIF bylaws, organized November 10, '84, and there's a revised draft of 2/19/98. I don't know if that was ever approved. So my only question is the risk management consultant, the note is, the risk management consultant shall be appointed in conformance with public contract law, and my question is, has he been appointed in compliance with public contract law?
Okay, so I think this question came up originally when the appointment came up, and the answer was that he was. I remember I spoke to the counsel for the JIF and went through that with him. As far as anything more, I'd have to go get statutes out and stuff like that again, but I remember that this issue did come up on the original appointment in January.
And so there is no, the council does not have to approve the appointment, or the contract doesn't have to be approved by the council?
Remember, I think we've gone through this many, many times, Mike. The council doesn't, the town funds don't pay him. It comes from the JIF. I know the money comes from the town and all of those things. But we've been through this, you know, a number of times in terms of, you know, what the process is. So the answer is no, there's no requirement. And the JIF accepts the appointment by the mayor in our form of government. The JIF bylaws are generally drafted in accordance with, you know, most of the other towns, which are boroughs, that kind of a thing. But I remember that I did check with the council for the JIF.
Okay. So we don't have this issue, and me asking it every time the JIF or the risk manager is on the agenda. Can we get the counsel for the JIF to confirm that to the council?
Well, the council for the JIF said the JIF will accept a designation by a mayor or a resolution of the council. I don't think he's going to give you a letter that says he'll take either one. I could ask him. I don't know that he'll want to do that.
Well,
I could certainly ask him.
Okay, if we could ask him, because I think the public contract laws, I mean, I don't understand the intricate workings of it, but I believe that there is a requirement at some dollar threshold that the council is required to be involved. So
again, that goes to the issue of who's paying the money, and I think that was the distinction.
Well, I guess
Yeah.
we know the risk manager gets paid by the JIF. I don't think, and no one's ever
Right.
questioned that.
Right.
But if the JIF, when they created these bylaws, has something changed? I mean, so they must have been aware that the JIF was paying and not the town. And they still indicate that the risk management consultant shall be appointed in conformance with public contracts law. I mean, to me, it's somewhat clear, although maybe it's not. So,
I'll ask.
okay. Thank you.
Is it okay to pass, Mr. Ullman, with that question being answered by Mr. Pollack?
Sure, but if we could get if the counsel for the JIF could be requested in writing to provide their, if not opinion, their interpretation, that would be appreciated.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 18-273?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Cummings?
Yes.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. Mr. Ullman, on 277, 278, 279, 281, 283, 284, is it because the administrative fee is missing on all of them?
Correct.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, why wasn't the following resolutions not charged in administrative fees for a refund as per our ordinance?
I only knew about them because in reading it over the weekend, I came up with the same questions. I do not know today, but...
So these refunds will not be issued at this meeting?
Correct.
Is that okay with you, Mr. Ullman?
That's fine.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion to adjourn to conference agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Cummings?
Yes.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. moving to conference agenda under administration, the infrastructure study. Mr. Mayor, do we have any update on the infrastructure and the DMF study update?
DMF study update, I reminded the company who's doing the study on Thursday or Friday that the 2 weeks that we tried to set as a deadline was up. He hadn't realized the time had gone by so quickly. He sent me a draft on Saturday, and I haven't had time to look at it since then, but I'll put it out for everyone to review. An infrastructure study, he and I agreed that we wouldn't even look at that until the DMF was done, not to just give him more work to do in that 2-week time frame.
Okay. Could you, I know you discussed in your opening report the pedestrian signs.
Yes.
Would you be able to, I guess, with Officer Glock, he's the new traffic officer, correct?
Correct.
Would you be able to give us the exact locations of where all that infrastructure?
Yes.
Everybody on the dais is okay with that?
Be
Mr.
happy
Ullman,
to.
Mr. Cumming, right? So we knew exactly where the pedestrian signs, the flashing ones and the standalone ones that the gentleman that used to come all the time.
Be happy to.
And I guess I'm speaking for Bob now. He wants to institute a similar flag system like we have at the crosswalks in Westwood. So could we discuss that? Have Mr. Glock maybe give us some guidance on that?
Sure thing.
Gentlemen, anything else on those couple items? Intersection update. I spoke to the Assistant County Engineer, Nancy Dargis. The plans will be in our hands this coming Friday for Mr. Azzolino to take and complete. So the plans will be here Friday. As soon as I receive them, I will have Sue disseminate them to the mayor and the council and to Mr. Azzolino. I'm sure they're going to go to Mr. Azzolino first, but I was told I was getting a copy.
Okay.
So we'll have them Friday, gentlemen. So progress on the intersection. Movie night, you had discussed what movies being played. Bob wanted some input on that.
We're only doing one this year,
year,
like we did last year with the concerts, to see how it goes over. And as I said, that movie was already picked, Journey to something, I forgot. But assuming it's successful, we'll be happy to consider for one of the movies next year.
Okay, broken chairs. Sue has provided a sample of what the future chairs, if we like them, that's how she will proceed.
We have the sample?
It's right there. You walked in the long way and didn't come up the right way. So
Okay.
if you could just give Sue your comments at the end of the meeting.
As long as it has a lot of padding.
Yeah, they have all sorts of gizmos. Maybe.
Mr. Pollard, do we have an update from Quest? I know they were anticipating having
I gave you the report, and
Okay.
I gave you the cost estimate, and I think the next thing was that we were going to try and have him
Come here.
in maybe in September.
Okay. So can we arrange for him to be here at the
Yeah,
first meeting in
I'll find
September
out-
if that meets his
I'll find
schedule?
out his availability and have him come in.
So gentlemen, we're going to have Quest come in and give us the next phase of the project, of where we stand and what we need to do to complete the project.
In reading this, though, the remedial excavation, I mean, basically, if we don't do anything with the DMF, we're not doing anything.
Well, yes and no. We may have to do something. I think he was trying to, he seemed to marry it to the doing something with the DMF building, made sense, whatever. He has to explain what we're required to do if we don't do anything with that. There may be some requirements that we may have to do anyway. That's why I think it's a good idea to have him in to kind of go over all the alternatives.
And just while we're on the issue of Quest and remediation, I don't know if it was discussed, or it was, I don't know if it's in the material that we received, but do we know if there's any contamination? Are we aware of any contamination on the site of the existing firehouse? And if the plume has ever been monitored migrating that way from the old gas station?
Oh, the gas station, I was going to say from this thing, no, but okay, from the gas station, I don't know. You're talking about the gas station on...
The
on
corner.
the corner.
I know
yeah.
there was
Yeah.
when they did...
Should be able to get that from the, from
DEP.
DEP,
Okay.
right?
I'm certain Mr. Conley's first would be to do a phase 1 on the site, so that would probably be taken on at that point, Mr. Holman, if we
right.
proceed. Anything else on that, Mike?
You.
Police traffic study, we were gonna maybe sit down, Mr. Mayor, with the new traffic officer to get his recommendations on what he thought we should do with the speed limit reductions and so forth, or doing a new study, a new speed study there?
All I can tell you is I asked the chief to see if he concurred with Captain Hackbarth's findings at the time.
And he did.
And the chief told me he spoke to him, and yes, they reviewed it together, and they concur.
Okay. The next thing we have on the agenda is the council, under council is the change form of government. Gentlemen, in your packet tonight, you received a 2-page handout. And Steve and I have been discussing. It's hard because of sunshine law to get all together because we can't. So, you know, in reading through the many different forms and the many pages we had, it seems, you know, take it, read it at your own leisure, but it seemed like council manager form would fit into our form, you know, into our Township of Washington very well, with a council of 5, everybody being at large, nonpartisan, and a rotating mayor. So just some food for thought. It's a 2-page handout. It was given to you tonight.
Oh. Thank you.
I don't think I received it. I don't know if that
It
was
was
on
given.
purpose or...
It was given to the council, Mr. Mayor. Yes, we can get you a copy if you'd like.
I'd appreciate it.
Well, I see it over here, so I'm going to steal this copy.
That's Mr. Bruno's copy, but you should have a copy also.
I will look and see if I can find the same thing here. Thank you.
All right. So if we can review that, come up with more questions and more ideas, but it seems that size of council is 5, nonpartisan, strong manager, November elections. I think they're staggered in a 4-year term, you know, 2 and 4-year terms for the initial bout, so not everybody's up for re-election at the same time as always. So,
In fact, this is my copy.
there you go. The last thing Mr. Bruno, Sue has to talk about is the CFO report on the band sale, Sue?
May I make one question or comment about the
Sure.
government? I don't remember exactly, but I thought a meeting going back 2-3 months ago, the council had decided that if anything was going to be done, it would be done via getting a petition by the residents. Now it seems like some members of the council have changed that and are looking to do something council-oriented. So I'm just curious if has changed.
Doc Cassio? I think we
We
just,
talked about both avenues.
it's moving slower than we thought it would, Mr. Mayor. And I think, you know, we just wanted to get the rest of the council's input on what they thought about this. And, you know, we'll discuss it in the next few meetings. Just to throw it out there, that's all.
Okay.
What's? No, next couple meetings, Mr. Stein. Oh, you can't ask that, sorry. Does that answer your question, Mr. Mayor?
It does, thank you.
Mr. Dr. Castro, anything else?
No, next, financials.
Okay, financial, Sue.
I don't think
Just-
much of that.
That included in your package is a report from the CFO regarding the band sale that she is required to put, or he is required to put in front of the council. Just for acknowledgement, you don't have to vote on it, but just part of the full circle of the band sale. Should be near the end.
Yes, there was 4. yeah,
There is a mathematical problem with that. that the typewritten memorandum was incorrect in that it stated a wrong number for the interest rate. And if you look at the bottom, the interest rates are almost 2%. And if you look at the memorandum, which I've lost at the moment,
You talking about
it's
this one? Mr. Clement?
1.096,
Correct.
which is not the same at all. So look at the top and the line at the top, and you'll see that it's inappropriately quoted in the memorandum body. I just want you to know that.
It is a typo. It says 1.096 and then
Yeah.
1.906.
I want you to realize that that's
Yeah.
absolutely inappropriate.
Yes.
With no disrespect to the CFO.
This one.
Yes. I marked that too. I know I can't find it, but I know because I looked at it.
Yeah, in the upper part, Mr. Cumming, you're right. It says 1.906%, and then the winning bidder, it says, was the low bidder with a net interest rate of 1.096, where it really is 1.906, correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
That's exactly right, sir. At least the memory works.
No, your memory's working very well.
Thank you.
I'm sorry to have to point that out to you, but
No.
I just discovered it this afternoon. So,
It's
you know,
Anything else, gentlemen, before
Yes.
we go into close?
Just back up to ordinances and legislation. You made a point about the trees or a tree ordinance or ownership. I do have a question or a concern about trees with regard to construction, because the tree, what happened on Jackson Avenue, I think at Crest, you know, is terrible. And I know Mr. Azzolina indicated that those trees were, the removal was generally in conformity with the planning board plan. They had to remove one or two more because of disease. But the way they trimmed the remaining ones up, there's no protection around the remaining trees. They have machinery, they have supplies right on the root in the drip line. And there's no doubt in my mind, because I'm dealing with it now on my personal property, that those trees are going to have issues down the road. And I don't know where the enforcement comes on from, or if we need to strengthen our ordinances, but it's really a disappointment that what is going to happen to that lot. And I think if we want to try to prevent it in the future, I don't know if it's within our purview or if it's a planning board. We have to ask them to give us input, but I'd like to strengthen our ordinances around trees and the protection around during construction.
Well, Mr. Allman, my statement was for homeowners, not a construction site.
Yes, understood.
So, Mr. Poller, correct me if I'm wrong, but we have a developer's agreement for Crest and Jackson, do we not?
Will they sign Creston? Well, who was the owner of Creston?
It went before the planning board.
Yeah, so
Okay,
it's
but not
a
every-
4-unit subdivision.
Okay, but I don't,
Fang.
what was the name? Who was it?
Fang?
Preston
Fang.
Hoover?
Crest and Jackson, Mr. Allman's
But
right.
when was
Mr.
it?
Fang.
Was this recent?
It's just, they've been cutting down now for
Okay,
months.
so nobody asked me for any builders agreement.
I mean, it was approved last year when I was on the board, so.
I'm not remembering it.
No, it's not coming to, I mean, normally I remember the builders
Well,
agreement.
doesn't any site plan
Usually-
approval come to you for,
Usually, but, you know, they have to go in the resolution, it's gotta be in the resolution, and somebody has to give it to me. I mean, I don't follow the planning board unless somebody gets in touch with me and said, here it is, so.
well, I know Mr. Azzolino has been out there numerous times, so he would have some kind of escrow.
No, he would have escrow for engineering, but I don't know what the bonding situation is. I can look into it,
I mean,
find out.
I think you need to, right?
I think
Mr.
Paul indicated in some exchanges that we had that the builder and the construction is in compliance with the planning, what was approved at planning.
Correct.
They had to take down an additional tree or two. They identified disease, which is all great, but, you know, to completely denude that, you know, it's like an acre of land and there's not really a tree left on it. I think as a council, we should think about doing something. And I'm not saying we should do something about this particular development because I think it's done. I think it's strengthening it for the next time.
But I'm concerned that if the planning board let this slip through the cracks without a builder's agreement or a developer's agreement, that's a big issue. And on a project of this size, we should have a developer's agreement in place to protect ourselves, because they would have had to post a bond, Mr. Allman, which would have protected us. You know, so you can't plant a little scraggly little tree and say that's my replacement, where the bond would have held up. So I think, Mr. Pollard, if you could review if this slipped through the cracks, I'd like an answer.
I'll find out. Also, I did, if you remember when we had that little discussion of trees previously, I did mention that Paul Leslie did say that he would like to come in and have a discussion to talk about the weaknesses that he sees in the ordinance. And it is a good ordinance to take a look at. That one would definitely be a good one to strengthen in a lot of ways. You know, you may want to even, you know, the deference to the planning board, you know, they kind of have the free reign. You may want to put some constraints in there as well, or some guidance for them as well in any ordinance you come up with. But I think the first step is to get Mr. Esley in here and go over that, as well as to find out about this builder's agreement.
But my first question is, I'd like to get the answer of why we don't have a developer's agreement on a project of this size.
Would a shade tree commission prevent any of that from happening, or they're just like a waste of?
It's not going to waste. You got to start appointing people. It's a whole administrative thing.
Too burdensome.
You know, we have enough administration here.
Okay.
But if we tightened up the
you wouldn't need one.
You wouldn't need one.
Okay.
I think unfortunately, when you turn a single lot into 4 lots,
trees take a beating.
It's foolish to think. It's foolish to think that you're going to save as many trees as you're going to save, because when you start digging foundations, when you start digging utility lines, you unearth all the roots to these trees. And if they live through the first year or two, they're going to fall down in the next storm. So we can ordinance it all we want. The best remedy we have is for every tree that these developers take down, we make them plant decent-sized specimen trees. You know, maybe a 2-for-1. But a 6-inch caliper tree, not a little 1-inch caliper tree like they typically plant, because you buy it for $50, not $2,000. So if we did something like that, I'd be all for it. But if we think we're gonna, you know, take a plan and say we're gonna protect, what Mr. Allman says is totally not right. If they're putting, you know, equipment on the root balls, they should be protected with orange safety fence and all that. Yeah, so that's a bigger issue. But if we think, you know, you take a plan and you're gonna save every tree on that plan, you're fooling yourself. I'm sorry. I've been doing this for 25 years. It's not going to happen. But if we go to the method of, hey, you cut down this, you know, 24-inch caliper tree, so you owe us 4 6-inch caliper trees to make up that one, it's worth it. It's worth it.
Yeah. You can't buy 6-inch caliper trees.
You can.
They're terribly expensive.
Correct.
I saw it done at Court Plaza.
But
they
put
can 24 linden trees a story up.
Yeah. But you know, they're expensive.
But yes. The other thing is the planning board, with the mayor and I on it recently, they took down 20 trees at the commons, condominiums, and were required to replace them 2-for-1.
Okay.
So
what size
I don't know what happened with this 3-lot subdivision a couple of years ago, but now we have... So
the Commons has replaced the trees already, or not yet?
They have not yet, but they're supposed to come before us and prove that they have done it, and I know the contractor, Cloverland. I've known him for 40 years, so I'll make sure it gets done.
Okay. Anything else, Sue, on your ban statement? Gentlemen, do I have a motion to enter into closed session for personnel, property acquisition, and planning board lawsuit?
Before you do that, Mike, since Mr. Ullman was allowed to go back, I'd like to ask one more question on change of form of government.
Sure, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Bruno's initials are next to it.
Yes.
So I assume he was in on this at some point.
And
you say you and Dr. Cassio had conversations about it. To me, that sounds like 3 people. I
We-
just
not
want to
at-
make
not
sure
at the-
no,
not at the
no
same time,
Oprah violations. Okay.
There is no sunshine violations. We
Good.
can, you know,
I just wanted to ask the question, and
Yes.
I'm sure you
Mr.
had covered it. More to explain to the public.
yes. Mr. Bruno put it back on the agenda, but this tonight came from us. Anything else, gentlemen, before we motion to close?
No.
Do I have a motion to enter into closed session?
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Cumming?
Yes.
Councilman Oman?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes. Thank you, everybody.